I'm Dave Greenwood, and this is Overcoming Distractions. If you are an adult with ADHD, a busy professional, an entrepreneur, a high achiever, or just need some strategies to navigate your adult ADHD, you're in the right place. Who am I? I'm an entrepreneur with ADHD and the author of 2 books, Overcoming Distractions and Overcoming Burnout. I coach and mentor people just like you, and together we navigate the ups and downs of adult ADHD. From getting out of our own way to helping people just like you thrive in the workplace. That's what I do. Want more info on working with me? Hit overcomingdistractions.com. Ready? Let's get to today's podcast. All right, gang, welcome back. We are about to embark on a fresh, new, powerful, educational, inspirational episode of Overcoming Distractions. And if you have listened to us for any length of time, or if some of you go right back to the beginning, Overcoming Distractions, the book was a profile of many entrepreneurs and business owners and other executives with ADHD. And I had an idea for a book that was just that. I didn't want to talk about kids with ADHD. I didn't want to talk about medication. I certainly was not a candidate to write a clinical book about ADHD. So I was a welding school flunk out, but for some reason, a publisher grabbed hold of it, and there we go. And it was in every Barnes and Noble in the country and beyond. So with that being said, we are kind of returning to our roots here of Overcoming Distractions, and we're talking about building a business or rebuilding a business with an ADHD brain, and we're going to get into that. And today I have Scott Proposki. He shot for National Geographic and the White House for about 27 years. He can kind of clarify that for me in a moment. He scaled a 7-figure studio with a bunch of team members. He was at the top 1% of his industry, millions in sales, and then, like many of us, 2020 showed up, reared its ugly head, and wiped out a lot of that. So, but now he has come back strong. He's actually helping others build businesses in the photography industry. He's the author of the Camera Focus Method, among, I think, a couple others. And he's embraced his ADHD. He's leveraged it to bounce back, create a new and improved business, right? So why don't you kind of expand on that a little bit, Scott, and then we can dig into actually what went wrong and how you kind of corrected course.
No, of course. Yeah, David, hey, thanks for having me here. Appreciate it. Um, yeah, you know, distractions, ADHD, entrepreneurs, creators, the whole book, Camera Focus. How did I get to the White House? How did I do National Geographic? My superpower, as we talk about in ADHD, my camera.
Yeah.
Because if I had my camera, I'd do anything. Go to the White House, go here, do that. It didn't matter. And for me, it was my superpower. It was my tool, right? And that's what launched my career as a photographer, is just being super hyper focused on one thing, which was my camera, honestly.
Yeah. That's interesting is I think a lot of us with ADHD, and I will throw myself into this category, where some of us do maybe chase a little bit of novelty. Maybe if we have the entrepreneurial mind, we've chased a few business ideas. Some of them work,
Maybe,
some
maybe just a
yeah,
few,
yeah,
just a
just a
few.
few, yeah. And maybe they did work, and then you're like, all right, cool, been there, done that. I'm getting bored. I'm gonna go do something else.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of us also, just career-wise, where we decide not to embark on owning a business or building a business. We do kind of take on different careers. So you have been basically a photographer for most of your adult life, right?
Yeah, yeah, all my life, because not knowingly, I'm not here to diagnose anybody, right?
Mm,
But when you don't know the diagnosis, sometimes, at least for me, things start to make sense in my adult life versus what I did.
mm,
And like, why am I unemployable?
yeah, yeah,
Why do I keep quitting or getting fired or just not working for me? And somehow we find our ways to create a living, and you end up doing this one thing for the whole entire life because you're creative, you know how to make money, you know how to do it. Maybe you're a solo entrepreneur, maybe you grew it up to a multi-billion dollar business where a lot of CEOs are, known to have ADHD, but we kind of
yeah,
find our way.
yeah. And that's interesting. I could take two roads to that. I could say, hey, I'm jealous of people who found one thing that they did really well and did it for decades. Um, and then I think there's others, myself included, that I'm kind of cool that I had these life experiences. So, I mean, I owned a restaurant, very successful restaurant in just outside of Boston. I owned a karate school, granted for 9 months, and then the economy tanked. So,
I read about all that last night and I'm like, am I being the right person?
mhm.
Like, that's amazing. Look at like what else is going on here? Like,
The
hold on.
economy really, I should have met you, many decades
Yeah, we
ago
could have had
because
drinks down in Southie or something.
yeah, I mean, but the karate school is a really really bad deal. Well, I'm going to talk about that someday. So I think you had sent me a note, and I think you've kind of mentioned it in other avenues. Is you rebuilt from zero. You kind of embraced your ADHD, but what kind of happened to make that shift from maybe seeing ADHD as a liability to using it as more of an asset?
Yeah, so ADHD, right? At least for me, I'm not saying anybody else or have the education and knowledge to be a therapist, but after seeing so many photographers and hiring so many photographers over the years for my own business, they stayed with me because or wanted to work with me because of my vision. And I'd get,
Hmm.
this is what's going to happen, and we're going to do this, and we have HBO, and would you want to work on this project? And the vision was bigger than most could actually personally think of themselves, and they're like, "Wow, this is amazing! I want to be like this. I want to be part of this," which got me going. Right, that's what got me going. So when the pandemic happened, and you have a size of certain sizes, economy, whatever, for me, it all just tumbled down.
Yeah.
And when that tumble down goes down and everything disappears, from 52 people doing HBO, National Geographic, the New England Patriots, and it's go, go, go. And that's what my mind needs, chaos and go. I thrive in that. So when it stops, it's very dangerous, to the point where you really get into a very deep depression, as I found out, because there's just no vision.
No, I can relate to that on a number of examples. But at the most basic level, like you say, I think we actually do good when we do stay in motion, right?
Hmm.
As long as there's not uh, complete chaos. Like there's flow. Like and again, I say what you will about hyper focus and flow, but I think as uh, busy people with ADHD, executives, entrepreneurs, we do thrive on flow where things are, kind of doing their thing, where we're in our zone, but maybe a little bit of challenged as well, and it's kind of a good thing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
when we stop, or when the shit hits the fan, so to speak, is not a great place for us.
Not a good place at all. And
Yeah.
before we hit the record button, you mentioned about school, and like I even graduated from school, and the first sentence of my own book, I mean, about the last person anybody would ever think in high school would write a book, never mind become an Amazon bestseller, was me. The
Mm.
last guy. right? We used to celebrate when we got a C minus when I came home with my report
Right.
card. It was like,
Yeah.
whoa, this is fantastic,
Oh
Scott.
yeah, and
Great job.
I do pull out the report cards and laugh because they are literally like the memes that you see on social media, like needs to try harder, needs to pay attention. I'm like, oh my God, I couldn't have
Yeah, we
done better.
celebrated. It was awesome.
Yeah.
You're like,
Oh, I laugh now. It
yeah,
wasn't funny
right,
at the
right. Oh,
time.
totally not. Right. Totally. Now it makes sense, right? It makes
Yeah.
sense. And, having conversations like you and I are having, we're sharing these stories. If you're listening to this, maybe you're listening to your kids and the C minus, hey, listen, it's okay. It's going to be fine. You have a book out. You wrote a book. I mean, who would ever think that you would write a book and be a publisher and be an author? I have two, three myself. I'm working my third. I mean, we can hyper focus on something and do it extremely well and share that knowledge. And we got to embrace that superpower. It doesn't matter about the C minus.
Yeah. What is and again, I know people do a lot of people disagree with the superpower uh term or categorization of ADHD. Um, I mean, I think in general people think that, yeah, I think let's break it down a little bit, is that many of us have challenges uncovering what we're really good at. We focus on the negative. Like so many people come to me and say, I'm on a performance improvement plan, or I'm running this business and I'm drowning and, all this stuff. And we got to kind of figure out what we're good at so we can kind of focus on that. But you say, ADHD is a superpower. How does that kind of come out in your day-to-day business decisions or operations, so to speak?
Yeah, looking back on it, when I had my photography business and I was thriving, as early age, I grabbed onto the camera like many photographers, and they don't know why. They're creative, but they just got that eye, and because they're creative, they can promote it. They talk about it. They're really good. They deep dive. They just go all in. They go all in, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Hey, I'm a photographer. I can make a business out of this." And for some people, they haven't found that camera. They haven't found maybe that book. For me, it transitioned from the camera to writing. I became like I enjoyed it. I liked it. I thrived on it.
Yeah.
It was my dopamine hit, right? Perhaps maybe that's my superpower today.
Yeah.
So it's like you're probably doing something that you're really good at and you really enjoy. But I think it really goes back to knowing your mindset and the diagnosis of ADHD. It doesn't matter that you've been diagnosed or not per se, right? But the idea is like, hey, I'm here's what I'm thinking, and sharing your ideas, and you're listening to this podcast. You're like, hey, yeah, you know what? I really am good at that. I didn't realize it because I'm drowning in all the other stuff, but I'm actually really good at that. And you know what? Maybe it's not how I do it, but who does it. So if you suck at bookkeeping, don't do bookkeeping.
But I think I think we actually do. I'll be as harsh as to say we do tell ourselves some lies occasionally when it comes to what we're good at and what
Oh
we're
yeah,
not
yeah. It's
good
the
at.
stories we tell ourselves. Oh,
No, it is. It's
100%.
because
100%.
and I 1,000,000% agree that like if you're just not good at bookkeeping, like what's crazy is I can't think of having a career or a business or anything that has to do with numbers. That's just not my thing. I was great at restaurant math,
Right.
I mean, that was about it. But and then I talk to other people like they're CPAs and there's this like CFOs and
Yeah.
I'm like
Yeah.
that's like fresh hell for me.
Yeah, oh no, yeah. I mean, this is why, we're somewhat, kind of joke, but don't joke, right? We're unemployable. I mean, sitting in an office cube somewhere, I mean, when, 9 to 5, being there at 9:01 and leaving at 4:59 if you're lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, some people need that structure. They thrive in that structure. People like you and I, we're just going to pull our hair out.
Yeah, right. So can you think of something an ADHD trait that maybe almost derailed you over the years of being in business? Was there something that maybe you were doing or were not doing, or that really kind of got in the way that you needed to kind of work on?
And I think I noticed it more, after the pandemic and going through that traumatic experience for me, is I learned more about helping people after the pandemic happened because I needed more help myself.
Mm,
And I think the biggest thing it was the stories I was telling myself where I lost that vision. I got stuck in my own way,
yeah,
and time went by fast, and I didn't comprehend time.
that's
And
interesting. Yeah, yeah.
and like it's been 6 years.
Hmm.
It's been
Oh
six
yeah,
years for the pandemic.
yeah.
It seems like yesterday to me. And it's like, here's an example. This morning I was preparing for this podcast. I was watching some other podcasts on YouTube that are about me. I'm flipping through the YouTube and I see a podcast that I did 5 years ago, right? And I'm like, that was 5 years ago. I've
Yeah.
lost concept of time.
No, I totally have that piece of my brain because you're right, because I can remember it like it was yesterday where like the gyms were shut down
Mm,
and I was out like walking the trails and which was great for my head,
hmm
don't get me wrong. Uh, but sometimes when I go to a certain area where my gym is, and I remember that this whole building was closed and it was a
hmm
ghost town and the mall up the
Yeah, yeah.
condominiums up the street from me.
Right,
Like to
right.
walk around the mall, it was shut down. The signs were falling down, the
Hmm
windows. I mean, things like that. Yeah, walking, taking walks with my father around the mall after the
hmm
malls opened and wearing
Yeah,
masks. And it's just like,
yeah.
yeah, but you're right. It's just like, holy crap, that was, like you say, 5, 6 years ago.
6 years ago? It's like,
Yeah,
and I speak about it like, well, the pandemic did this to me in my business. I'm I'm still recovering,
yeah.
and
No, I think a lot of us are. Yeah, yeah.
and it's like the other thing is, I'll get on, I help photographers build a business, and I'll get on a call with somebody. They've been doing photography 6, 7 years, and they talk to me about all their challenges and what they've been doing. I'm like, you did all that in 7 years? You're doing pretty good,
Mm,
you know. And
yeah,
it's like their lifetime spans, which it is, right? But
right.
looking back, I'm like, wow, I've been in the pause mode for like six of them, right?
No, when exactly. I think you kind of you nailed that because I do that. That comes to me often where I'm like, holy crap, I can't.
Hmm.
It's just like it's just like really, we were wearing masks. I haven't worn a mask in what, four
Yeah,
years. It's just like
I didn't wear it when I was supposed to wear it.
right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. I kind of refuse at this point. So I think people, entrepreneurs with ADHD, busy people. Um, we do struggle, I think, to some extent with some consistency, routines,
Hmm.
different things like that. I remember, and I've said this a bunch of times, so if you're listening out there, forgive me, but there was a big ADHD lesson in this is watching Shark Tank once, and Mark Cuban was beating on some guy about his business, and it was like he was kind of running his business in chaos and he says if you don't have repeatable systems you don't have a business. And I thought
Hmm.
there's such a major ADHD lesson in what he just said. So what systems do you have in place to kind of maintain things in your business on whether it's a daily or weekly type of uh, time frame, so to speak? I mean, what systems are must-haves for you?
Yeah, well, I learned that real quick after the pandemic.
Yeah.
Because when the pandemic happened, we were by ourselves, right? We weren't with people. We weren't in an office. I had an office. So for years, when I would do photo assignments, no matter the size, big, small, whatever, I would always bring somebody with me. I'd always have an assistant. I would always hire some assistants. And or I'd drag my dad along, right? And just to have that support or conversation. But what I found is being with somebody else. It's what they call the buddy. There's a terminology in ADHD, have a shadow, buddy shadow, right?
Right, yeah, or body
Body
doubling,
doubling, right?
people,
And
yeah.
and so I was doing that pretty much most of my professional career, and that's what kept me going, kept me on track, kept me accountable. Do this because I was with somebody else. I'm like, oh yeah, where were we? Well, okay, let's get this done. Let's do this. Let's get that done. So when the pandemic hit, I didn't have that body doubling. I didn't have that other person to keep me accountable. So that's when things kind of didn't happen. I didn't fall through, or this didn't. Didn't have somebody in the office to drive things forward. And even when I had my office in 2017, 2018, I had an office manager. right? And like some people said, "Do you need an office manager?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can actually get things done, or I'm talking things out. Just because I was talking it out, I would get more done."
Hmm.
And so that's what kept, that was my system. That was my method. That was my way of doing it. Yes, I was busy. Yes, I needed somebody, but that was a big transition between a solo entrepreneur where we work, we work out of our homes, work out of our basements today, is what's going to keep us accountable, or who's going to keep us accountable.
No, and
And
I think and I think that's why, some people come to me and they gotta like just kind of course correct. Maybe they hang out with me
yeah,
for 3 or 4 months. They want to work with another entrepreneur with ADHD to kind of figure things
yeah,
out. Um, there's some people that have worked with me for years because they just like that kind of check in
yeah,
on a regular basis to just kind of, again, correct course, so to speak, or I remind them that, hey, you were going to do X, Y, and Z. How did that go? And sometimes it's like, oh, it went well, we got it done. Or other times it's like, oh, crap, thanks for reminding me. I mean, it's just like some people need that kind of support. And, you can argue that maybe, well, we shouldn't need that on the flip side, if that's what helps you stay productive and build your business, et cetera,
right.
then why not take advantage of it, right?
Yeah, and again, just don't, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah.
And so maybe you listen to this podcast and don't do what I did, do what I say,
Yeah.
right? Really, I'm telling you, if you're listening, pay attention to this, right? Having somebody to be accountable for, having that conversation with somebody. Don't go silent like I did during the pandemic. It was the worst mistake I did,
Yeah.
and that was the big shift. That was the big aha moment.
Well, I think, and again, everything with ADHD, I can go like a couple different ways, but many of us are like, all right, we're problem solvers. We're going to figure this out. Where this is new territory. But then you have a pandemic, and some of us are just sitting there in the fetal position, right? It's just like,
Yeah,
what the
way,
hell do
oh,
I do? I mean, many
yeah,
entrepreneurs, many people in business, maybe your business closed down. Um, maybe you worked in retail, and then all of a sudden, boom, you were shut down for. Um, maybe you were in a business that just literally disappeared, right? I mean, and no backup plan.
none.
I mean, that's a rough place to be. I don't care if you have ADHD or not, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. It's just talk about overwhelmed. You get so overwhelmed, it's like, why even bother?
But yeah, right. It's like intense overwhelm. It's like, oh, pandemic, didn't have
Yeah,
that on my bingo card, right?
yeah. Well, you don't have the vision. You don't have that drive. Everything's gone. Everything's disappeared. It's so overwhelming.
Yeah.
Money is almost like, oh, you get a certain point in your life where you live a different lifestyle and you're used to the income and you become comfortable and confident about the next month or work. It doesn't overtake your mind because
Yeah.
you have this, you've been doing it for a while and then things happen. You got things in the roll. It just kind of happens. But when it goes away, you don't realize that, man, I did have things in the pipeline, as they say, right?
Yeah.
And it's difficult to shift.
So building or rebuilding from, I guess, zero, what are some of the uh, practical steps that maybe you took or that you advise others to do? Because quite frankly, I mean, there's some subtle differences, but you're either building a new business or you're rebuilding something that maybe, you know, collapsed or, took a nosedive in revenue. So what are those kind of two, three, four, whatever the number is, practical steps that people listening should consider if they're trying to kind of build up from, quite frankly, zero?
Yeah, I think there would be three things, right? And the first thing I would do is I hear about this all the time. Didn't really implement it over the years,
Mm-hmm.
but have a roadmap, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really grasp that. I'm like, yeah, I've heard about it and coaching programs, and yeah, I got a roadmap. In my head visually, I knew where I was going to go. Okay, that's fine, but have a roadmap because if you don't know where you want to go, you're never going to get there. And when you do get there, you're not even going to feel like you're successful because you didn't even plan on getting there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's a big mind shift in because our mind is the stories we tell ourselves. So if you actually have a plan, I don't care if it's on a whiteboard or a napkin, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you put it away,
Yeah. Yeah.
just know that, hey, I actually made progress. I actually did do this. Because as time goes on, that moment, our time right now, becomes the norm. And we actually forget how far and how advanced we've gone. I know that for a fact. I did my photography. I didn't plan on going to the White House. I didn't think I'd get National Geographic. I didn't think I'd get New England Patriots. And things just evolved and became the norm. And it
Mm-hmm.
became the norm for many years.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it. And I didn't see success. It didn't seem like success to me as I share my stories today. It's like, wow, oh my God. I'm like, even still today, the norm, but I understand it more where I never even shared my story. Because I never had a roadmap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
What's involved in that roadmap? Obviously, there's kind of a destination you want to get to, but I think for many of us, we do need to kind of chart out even those tiny steps, right?
Yeah.
To get there. There's no sense, I think, especially for us, where, I want to build a thriving photography business. Okay, but
Oh, but
cool. But how there's got to be steps involved in getting there.
yeah.
It's networking, it's building relationships, it's making calls,
Hmm.
it's business development, it's
Well,
et cetera, right?
100%. And going back to that plan, I was on a podcast yesterday, and he picked up something in my book where I call the 25-year plan. Because I read something in your book about a 25-year plan. Tell me about that. I was like, well, it's exactly what it is. I mean, I have a 25-year plan that I, kind of put on paper 10 years ago. What my 25-year plan was, and then I had a 10-year plan, a 5-year plan, and a 1-year plan, and these plans kind of lined up on paper, visually and mentally, right? And you hear about a lot. Other people have done this. The vision board. Having that
Yeah.
vision board and seeing it. It was my vision board of 25 years because I knew, okay, here's where I want to go. Here's what I want to do. And it was my second career. It wasn't the National Geo and all the photography work. It was like, how am I going to build a business? How can I build it bigger? And that's where my 25-year plan came in. I want to write 3 books so I can help other people when I'm, when I'm old sitting on the rocking chair and I have clients and I'm talking to, I want to help out. I see a vision of that. Well, that was like 7 years ago I did it. Now I'm doing it now.
Yeah.
This was my plan to do in my 70s
Yeah.
and I'm doing it in my late 50s.
Yeah.
But it was in my mind to do it. So like you tend to go that direction because I did have that plan. So I'm appreciative where I am right now because like I wanted this so long ago and I'm doing it now.
But I would argue that I think sometimes the ADHD brain does maybe need a more detailed roadmap, as you say,
Oh yeah,
because we get
derailed,
incredibly well,
derailed,
derailed. We
right?
get
Shiny object
impatient
syndrome.
because we get, like, people, entrepreneurs know, business owners know that, um, I mean, if we're lucky, things catch fire.
Hmm.
But many people who embark on their own business, whether it's a solopreneur or a consultant, or they invest money in,
Yeah.
you know, many times it doesn't go according to plan. So, I mean, when I started my PR firm 20 something years ago, I was lucky to have a couple really big clients right out of the
Hmm.
gate, but then that waned off. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, crap, where's my next big client?
Yeah.
It's just like not, you know, how do we continue to uh, kind of celebrate the wins, so to speak, right? And then be
Yeah.
prepared for uh, not getting derailed,
Hmm.
because we got this big, huge ass
Hmm.
goal, and then we're not meeting it, and then we're like, oh
Can
crap,
we
all
give
right, I
up?
got to go do something else.
This
Yeah,
sucks. This sucks. I'm out.
right,
Right.
right.
Uh,
How do you advise people to kind of compensate for that so we can continue to maintain our kind of interest and
yeah.
moving intentionally?
No. Great. Great. Great question. And I was explaining this to one of my you know team members, one of my clients, coaching clients, and it was like it's patents. right? You continue to do something that doesn't work, repeatable. It's called insanity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so let's just look at this on a psychological way of thinking right now. And I'll speak of myself, is that we have these grand ideas. You just talked about the PR firm, the restaurant, the karate. It's like, oh, this is it. I'm all in. This is amazing. We're on top of the hill, right? So if you listen and visualize yourself on top of that hill. And now we're going into it. We're going to it, right? And it becomes a little bit more work. There's challenges along the way, and we start slipping down that slope, right? And then all of a sudden we lose one or two clients, whatever the case may be. And now we're at the bottom of the hill.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, this sucks. I'm out. I want to do the karate. I want to do like me. I did other things too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
trust me, I've had many shiny objects. And this is exactly what got me down today to help other people because of this pattern. And then I'd have to go back up the hill, going back to that diagram, going back up the hill, the next shiny object, the next awesome thing. I'm all in. I can't think of anything else. This is going to work. And then we do it. We slide back down the hill.
Yeah.
And then we go back up the hill. And we go down the hill. And we go back up the hill. So there's a pattern there. And we can actually probably visualize that as you're listening. My pattern. Oh yeah, I remember that project and this project and this project. But here's the thing. We're down at the bottom of the hill. Let's not repeat the same old patterns because it's going to happen again. So why don't we do this? Why don't we try to push forward up the hill? That sucks too sometimes. And that's work.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But at least I know where I want to go, which is on top of the summit of Mount Everest. And it's going to take a team. So when I'm at the bottom here and I know I'm struggling, let's create base camp. Let's get all the people involved that I need so that I can go up to the summit, so I can get to the Mount Everest. So if you're at the bottom of the valley, you're at base camp.
Yeah.
And it just matters, you got to get the right person for the mapping, the tools, the help. Everybody has a unique job when you have base camp. Bring that team up. And if you can build that team at base camp, as a team, you can thrive up that hill to get to the top. And we forget about base camp. We don't build a team. We don't, because that's what happens when you build a business. You need a team of people. You need the vice president of the account, and this, whoever, right? You can't do it alone sometimes. And that's where we struggle. And having that body double, that person to help you with it, I didn't know it, but that's what I was good at. And I was always building my base camp.
Yeah.
And just going back up to get to the summit because I know pinpoint exactly where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
That's helpful.
Tell us a little bit more as we wrap up about how you spend your days, how you help people.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna lie. Even today, I got to refocus on my day to day, right? Talk about camera focus, and I have to refocus on what happened because as I build my coaching program to help photographers build a business to last a lifetime, which is my thing,
Yeah.
as well as I'm still doing photography. I still have the Patriots and some higher end corporate clients because I want to be in the trenches with everybody. I don't want to be like, well, Scott, that was just back in your day. No, it was like last Tuesday, guys. Okay, I'm doing it. I'm in it too. I got the pitch. I'm selling it just like you. I'm not throwing the White House card in there. Here, do that. No, I'm pitching this to make sure that what works and what doesn't. And I'm refocusing. And I have to refocus too. And it's about refocusing and not refocusing. Staying unfocused for 4 years, not knowing where to go was my problem. And you just got to constantly refocus.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. I always talk about hitting that reset button or the pause
Mm.
button or
Oh
certain
gosh,
things don't slow down or just take 15 minutes sometimes to reset your week. So
mm-hmm.
I think that's a good analogy of kind of refocusing. So cool. Hey, it was good getting back to the roots of overcoming distractions and
Mm-hmm.
talking about those of us out there who have broken free from the corporate structure and tried to keep our lights on and pay our mortgage.
Right, right.
So how can people find you?
Yeah, my first book was called Camera Focus, so I got camerafocus.com. Keep it really simple. Go to Amazon, buy the book, see my profile, reach out, say hi. I get 2 or 3 people a week will randomly find my book on Amazon and reach out to me, and they'll say, Scott, Is this Scott? I'm like, yeah, I answer all my calls right here. And, you could do the same thing. And, happy to have a coffee chat with you. If you're in the Boston area, give me a call. If not, we can always do a Zoom call. I'm always encouraged. The people that call me keep me going. It's my body doubling. So if you're listening, camerafocus.com, reach out. Love to have a conversation with you.